Passports are the silent tool of racial discrimination. There exists in our world a form of apartheid, which is based upon the separation of people depending on their nationality and the passport that they hold. Millions of people globally are disenfranchised from the right to travel because of this passport apartheid. And sadly, most of the people who are disenfranchised are those from the African continent and some parts of Asia. In fact, the overwhelming majority of African countries have what are effectively third-rate passports. And people from North America and Europe tend to have what we can call passport privilege, because their passports are among the strongest in the world and give them freedom to travel to virtually any other country with few restrictions. The strongest passports in the world include those of Singapore, Japan and Korea, but that's quite an exception for countries which aren't predominantly populated by white people. Now, although black people living in certain countries in Europe and North America will also benefit from passport privilege, let us remember the statistics. 75% of people who live in the United States are white. 85% of people living in the United Kingdom are white, and similar figures apply to countries like France and Germany. So ultimately, it's another form of white privilege. And people from the African continent are thus denied the right to travel. And that isn't just the case of traveling for tourism or to visit places out of interest. That also includes the right to be able to migrate for work, for study, or for healthcare. It's kind of taken for granted and left unquestioned that citizenship of any nation is in fact blood-based. Citizenship is usually blood-based because many countries, and particularly those with the strongest passports, will deny nationality or citizenship to people who are born on their soil unless they have a parent or sometimes grandparent who originates from that country. One of the rare exceptions is actually the United States, but across most of Europe, people of other nationalities born on the soil are not considered to have the rights of citizenship. So passport apartheid persists. Blood or ancestry is the basis of all rights, and the principles that having the right parents with a Western super citizenship is effectively all that counts. This is another form of effectively what is racism that exists in the world and is rarely questioned by anybody. We just take it for granted that Singapore, Germany, most of the European Union have the strongest passports in the world, whereas countries across Africa and most of Asia are subjected to having the weakest passports. Do we ever stop to ask ourselves why this is the case? Is it fair? Is it equitable? Is it based upon principles of equality and justice? No, of course it isn't. It's another form of structural racism which exists across the globe.